right. Here we are. This is Guestlisted with Shank Aaron, episode 2. And for this second episode of the podcast, I have a very special guest and friend, Mr. Patrick Dirt Monkey McGath. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the closet.
Thanks for having me in your closet.
Yeah. I hope
you've done.
I hope that you won't be trapped in the closet.
Good craftsmanship here.
Thank you. I actually built this all myself.
Yeah. Tom actually builds stuff.
I know. It's weird. So anyways, for this episode, there was a particular time in my life and yours where we did a short tour together. It was part of the Jansen and Dirt Monkey tour. And it was when we went up to the icy north, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Detroit, and then inevitably Fargo, North Dakota. Ugh. And this trip was probably more influential than any other time in my music life as far as kind of teaching me how things really are in the music world. And I thought that, fans of electronic music always get to see headlining sets at EDC. They get to see private jets on people's Instagram and all this this crap. But they don't really get to see the real deal come up of a lot of their famous art, their favorite artists. And I thought this would be a good way to kind of give people insight to that. Because, we talk about, there's that famous quote, the whole, he blew up out of nowhere. And I think that blow up out of nowhere for most people is actually years of hard work, travel, lots of rough times that they never really get to see. They just get to see, it's like the iceberg. They just get to see the top part. They never saw all the background to it. And I thought that this story particularly gave a really good insight to how that went, especially for you.
Yeah.
So, to start out, the background of this is the Dirt Monkey and Jansen tour. I don't remember specifically which year it is. I want to say...
It was 2015.
15? I was going to say either 15 or 16. And I was really excited for it. I was going to be meeting up with you guys for a short leg of the tour. We were doing Detroit.
No, maybe it was 2016.
That's what I thought it was.
I think it might have been 2016, yeah.
We can get a... If you went to any of these shows, you can hit us up in the comments to correct our dates. But we played Detroit, which was a great show. We did Minneapolis. We did Ann Arbor. I remember you guys went running in Ann Arbor. That was the only part about that. And then we did Fargo, North Dakota, which is going to be the main topic of our of our talk today.
The F word.
Yeah, the F word. Now, going into these shows, the first few of them all went great. Packed out, super good crowds, really high energy, and we were just having a great time. Obviously, the three of us have been friends for a long time, so anytime we get to travel together, it's pretty fun, I would say. I remember you guys brought your running shoes so that every morning after the shows, you guys could wake up early and go for runs.
Yeah.
I couldn't, but you guys did, and I was very proud of you for it.
Yeah.
But let's start the story with the fact that to go to Fargo, we were going to go into Minneapolis, go up to Fargo, and then come back for our Minneapolis show before we were going to be flying back. So we were in contact with the promoter of Minneapolis at the time, our good friend Cooper. And Cooper was he had the premonition. He's like, oh, fun, you guys are going to Fargo? Here's exactly what's going to happen. And he listed out all of these things.
Yeah, the CDJs are either not going to work or not going to be there.
Or won't be enough of them.
You're not going to get paid. I think those are the only two things. The gear will either not be there or it won't work, and you're definitely not getting paid.
Yeah, so that was what we had.
Turns out he was right.
Yeah, on all counts. But we had a conversation before we left Minneapolis to go up there because he was like, just don't go. There's no point.
Oh, yeah, he was definitely warning us.
And then we all had our input on and we did that story, if there's just one fan out there that we can touch, it's all worthwhile.
Right, and we were like, whatever, we're getting paid, so we're not going to cancel a show.
Right.
Like if there are one or more people that are going to this show and we are getting paid,
it's like
then we have to go play the show.
It's like that quote from politics right now. There was more than 0 people.
Yeah.
It was a number greater than 0.
Yeah.
But yeah, we decided that even if there was going to be just one person there, it was worth going up there to do the show. And to jump forward in it a little bit, I do remember having conversations with people who were like, I drove 4.5 hours for this show. So it was definitely, worthwhile to go up there for the fans' point of view. But anyways, so we're heading from Minneapolis to Fargo. We're getting all this bad news. Keep in mind, it's like a good 4-hour drive. Like it's a healthy hike. And so we're driving up there with pretty low expectations already. I still remember when I found out that the promoter was Michael Jordan. And there was just many Chicago Bulls references to be made.
Oh, yeah.
But we get up there, and almost immediately, like, it just starts on a bad note. We get up there, and there's another headliner at the venue, like, setting up. And
Oh, yeah.
Govinda?
Like Godiva? Or no, Govinda.
Govinda, yeah. Or
What's Godiva? Oh, that's the chocolate.
Yeah.
Govinda. Oh, yeah, that dude's cool, too.
Dude, he was super, super cool. And for...
Very talented, too.
Because we used to play... Right? Yeah, we used to play, like, Sonic Blooms and stuff with him. I'd never met him really before, but, like, I mean, he's a very established
he was,
touring
like,
artist.
Pretty well-known.
And comparatively, he had said that he had flown specifically just for that show.
Right.
Like it wasn't even
he flew out Fargo.
To Fargo, which they do apparently have an airport. But what's happening here is that they had double booked the venue.
Yeah, 2 promoters. What was it? 2
no,
promoters?
No, it was one promoter had double booked the same date. It was Mr. Michael Jordan.
Uh-huh.
And so he had booked Govinda to headline, but then also the Dirt Monkey and Jansen tour featuring Shank Aaron.
Yeah, just figured, we'll just figure it out when they show up.
Between the 2 tours, one of them will make it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's almost...
One or more people will show up.
Yeah, it's like, I think that maybe they just book as many DJs as they can because they know so many of them won't come because Cooper will warn them about the situation.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, someone will not have heard of me.
Yeah.
And then the other thing about that night was that Fargo... Even for such a small, out-of-the-way place, there was like another... Wasn't it like Mount Eden? Someone else was playing in town that same night.
Yeah, that's right.
At like the aquarium or whatever their other venue was.
Yeah.
So there was like competing dubstep shows in Fargo.
Which in 2016 was not...
It was insane.
Yeah.
Like, there should be no reason for that.
Yeah, in a C market or whatever. No, not that anyone knows what that means. But...
D, maybe.
Yeah. Z. How far does the alphabet go?
D-. I mean, because it didn't pass. Is the point. It was not a passing grade.
Also, if you're watching or listening to this and you live in Fargo or grew up there and you're kind of bummed about what we're saying, this is just based on like spending a total of 8 hours in Fargo. So
it's not anything shitting on your city or your scene or you as a group of people, because all the people we met that night were super cool.
Yeah.
These are just the circumstances of this concert.
Yeah.
If we can call it that went down, which was just insane to me. So to start out, they decide we're just all going to play. That Govinda is going to do his, heady violin thing, and then you guys were going to play a bunch of wompy bass music, and then I think I was going to play, like, rhythm. And we're just like, yeah, fuck it. We're just gonna send it. And immediately it started off with, have you ever played on Tractor before? Was the question, because I was the first non-local to play.
Oh yeah.
And I already knew that this was fucked.
Yeah.
Because
there was one CDJ set up.
So there was one CDJ and then the kids
and a laptop stand.
The kids' Tractor, and I remember him even saying like, this might crash because it doesn't run off a USB. So if you can just drag your whole music folder onto my laptop. And I just remember being like, no, this can't. He's
so
like,
the way you had to do it was like, you'd have to play your song and then go on the computer and drag that song over to the other player.
Yeah.
To then mix another song in. So
I mean, it was insane.
It was doable.
It was doable, and we made it work. But the fact that like
so early on in the night, we're seeing that and we're like, all right, this is fucked, but at least we're going to play a show and there's people here and we're going to get paid. So
that was premonition. Shout outs to our boy Cooper. That was premonition number 1 of Cooper's coming true.
Yeah.
Was that there was going to be not enough CDJs. But yeah, the fact that they expected, touring professionals to play on one CDJ and some other kid's laptop. That was, it was just the fact that it was some personal kids, and he was like,
I've still done worse.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, it was
at that time. Bogus. At that time, though, we were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And also, I was really like, it was just some random kid in Fargo, and I remember him being like, "Please put all of your music that you own in your whole life onto my laptop." And then I was like, and he's like, "I'll erase it right afterwards." I'm like,
"You're like,
no, you won't.
I'll erase it right after."
Yeah. So
we got a little visitor. We got a special guest. What's up, dude?
What is it?
We're doing the podcast right now. You want to come say hi? This is Nico. This is my little dude.
This is the Patrick's kid.
Look, say hi. Hey. Okay. Oh, that was close. All right. You want to go back in there?
No, I don't have.
Okay, you got to be quiet.
I must be quiet.
So we're playing on the one CDJ is where we left that off.
Yeah.
Was it you? Some girl came up to somebody and was like, "Just so you know, you're not getting paid tonight."
Yeah.
Like just some random fan.
Yeah.
Who was that they came up to?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Because I remember because then that was like the big thing is this is before we even played that we were already told that we were not going to be getting paid for that night.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went into the bathroom and earmuffs, buddy. I remember peeing in the bathroom and reading the wall that just had so much graffiti on it and Sharpie and real big above one of the urinals
in freshly used Sharpie.
Freshly used Sharpie. It just said Michael Jordan sucks dicks, something to that extent. Whoa, and I was like, that's not a good sign.
Don't shoot us.
I was like, when the promoter of the venue that we're at has negative graffiti in the bathroom, it's not going to be a good show. I'm just saying that right now.
But even with that, it's a microphone.
What is
we can't touch it. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's what we're talking into.
Even with that, we were still like, all right, this sucks. These people don't like the promoter. But at least we're going to get paid. We're playing a show.
And the fact is there was probably 30 people there, 30 to 40 people between.
There were enough people to where it was like,
the show itself was fun.
I remember having fun during the show.
Yeah, no, people were they were really stoked, and we got a lot of people coming to tell us how far away they drove, just because Fargo was actually the nearest hub for that area. So kids had driven from all over that place. So that made us feel good.
Yeah.
And then we played our sets, and then it became time to settle up. And I'm not totally sure how.
Is this a necklace?
This is rave candy.
Yeah, I also have. If you ever gave me rave candy, I have it hanging up in the.
It's right here
in the closet
Thank
studio. Yeah, some girl for no reason came up to us and almost had tears in her eyes, and she's like, we don't get to go to many shows, so thank you so much for coming out here, even though you're not going to get paid. And we were all like, wait, we're not getting paid? That was unknown to us. And she's like, oh yeah, he never pays his artists or whatever. And then Patrick and Jansen were doing their tag, and I could hear Govinda yelling at him either in a back room or
at the promoter.
He's the chillest, headiest, just moon crystal dude, and hearing him just being like, I paid this much for this flight, going off on the dude. I was like, yeah, get after it, because we're next.
He paid half of his fee for the flight.
Yeah, because I think he said his flight was $800 because he had to fly direct into Fargo from San Francisco, and so then it became our turn to try to get our money from him. And at this point, he'd already been berated by Govinda for like a while, and we're like, all right, time to like settle up. And he was just like, I don't really know what to tell you. And then in front of him, we had a conversation about whether or not we should fuck him up, which also, to be fair, like, we've never fucked up anyone. Like, that, that was such like a hollow threat.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever punched anyone.
Oh, I definitely punched people, but I've never, like, I don't know. Not recent time.
Someone up.
No.
We actually, it was me, him, and Jansen, and we were all kind of looking at each other. And Michael Jordan looked at us, and he was like, I don't have your money. And if you want to like jump me right now and try and get some money that does not exist and out of my wallet, then you can go for it, but you're not going to get anything. And he was like, I could try and sell some coke.
Yeah,
like,
that was
he was like, if I can sell like this much coke to like this many people, then I can get you maybe half of your fee. How about that? And we were like, and we looked at each other for a second and we were like, are we supposed to like jump him right now?
Yeah.
Do you think he has any money? And we were like, how much is it worth to jump him? Like, what if he has like $100?
Well, Jansen said something like, if we don't fuck him up, he's never going to learn. And he's sitting at the bar while we're discussing between the three of us if we should fuck him up.
He basically was like, listen, guys, if you want to jump me, go for it. And we were like, cool, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
We'll let you know in a few minutes.
And there was a side note, too. I remember him saying, too, he's like, but if you don't fuck me up,
those people will.
No, there's some other people I owe money to, too, that are definitely going to fuck me up anyway. So, like, it's happening regardless. So, it's like, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, he was basically like...
It was like a negotiation.
I'm completely fucked, and I really don't care what happens at this point.
Yeah.
So, good luck.
But then he was like, I could also give you all these drugs in exchange for your the Farblow. And so we
were like, great, we can put those into the ATM and deposit it.
Yeah, no, I can pay my rent with this like cocaine from Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up just kind of like biting the bullet on that situation. But I remember like a bunch of Escalades like rolling up, and he's like, "Yeah, that's me." And I was like, "Oh, those are the people who are gonna like beat you up in the parking lot." Like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was a rough.
It got to the point where like I just had pity on him, and I was like,
yeah, we didn't.
This dude's in a rough spot.
Do you remember the legally binding napkin though that he did give us?
Oh my God, that's right. Yeah, he wrote an IOU on a napkin,
dude.
And we all signed it.
Yeah, dude. I think it's somewhere in Facebook land because we posted it and tagged him. I'll put it like a link to it in the comments. Yeah. But yeah, he wrote us on a napkin.
Actually, that should be the cover art of this podcast.
I'm gonna put that in there. But it was like IOU Michael Jordan, however much money,
$17.50 or something.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of money at the time too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it was the three of us splitting $17.50, but at the time we were like, I was counting on that money.
No, it was like our rent. And the fact is,
I need to make this, or else I'm gonna have trouble paying bills
everything.
And all that.
And we had to rent a car to go from Minneapolis to Fargo.
Yeah, we spent a few $100 getting there.
And like the hotel room and stuff to be up there. So we were out a bunch of money, not to mention our salmon salads. Those were not cheap. The bowls of salmon salad.
Yeah.
I had a great video from that. I'll have to try to see if I can find that too for the clip. But it's the Sexy Sax Man song that I was playing like the entire trip. And it's just Jansen in slow motion eating his like salmon salad and like a wife beater. And he just like looks at me like, what the fuck?
$35 Whole Foods salad.
Yeah, pretty much. That was the tour of the vessel.
Mm-hmm. Well, every tour was the vessel tour.
Was it?
If it's with Jansen, yeah.
Okay.
Always brings a Tupperware.
The point was, though, is that we were trying so hard to save money just because, touring is not that profitable at that time. So, like, we were literally making our own food and bringing it with us, taking the cheapest.
Eggs. I would bring a jet boil with me, which is like it's like a camping stove, but it takes like these little propane containers, and you just boil water and you can hard boil eggs. And
when, like, you're trying that hard to, like, skimp and like scrape and save, and then you spend hundreds of dollars on hotel, rental car, not to mention 4 hours back and forth, like not getting paid for that show was like, detrimental to our self-esteem, etc. Mm-hmm. And then that's going to lead us up to the second part of this story, the reason you guys all tuned in, which we'll get to after a short commercial break. So, here at Guestlisted with Shank Aaron, we like to give a shout out to our sponsors this week. One of our sponsors, Elon Musk and SpaceX. SpaceX, let's go to Mars.
And I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor, Squanto
Incorporated.
Incorporated.
Yes,
Yeah.
for all your news,
Yeah.
weather, and sports.
Yeah, for keeping me updated.
Yeah. So thanks to our sponsors. Anyways, back to the show. Okay, so
Wait, actually, can we pause and
can't really
do
pause,
Oh, okay.
but
That's fine.
but we
check
can.
on Nico.
He's fine.
All right. Thanks.
Silence means he's fine. So the second part of this story is the reason that I enjoy telling this to friends. I find that this whole thing is probably one of the most inspirational things to hear, especially for up and coming music artists. Because I feel like, they go through these ups and downs and they don't realize that most of their favorite artists have also gone through these tribulations as well. They've had doubts, etc. So the way I remember this, and then we'll get your feedback afterwards, is we're driving home. Now the stage is set. You guys understand the vibe that we're in. It's the three of us with our tails between our legs, driving back to Minneapolis from Fargo, North Dakota, with no money, just wasting a bunch of money, and overall being lost in ourselves. And this is the time when you have a 4-hour road trip with people, you get to have all the conversations, all of your deepest and darkest fears, concerns, etc. And Patrick opens up to us after probably a couple hours of silence. He just goes, "Guys, I'm going to quit dubstep." And Jansen's just like, "Yeah, man, do it." And I was like, "No, you are my bridge to the dubstep world right now. I could never imagine going on, without doing shows with you, etc., and making tracks and all that." I was heartbroken when I heard this. But then you came with a really good plan. You're like, "I had this offer to go open up a climbing gym in Utah, and climbing has always been a huge part of my life, and it's something that makes me really happy."
Yeah, and it was my day job. It was
yeah.
I worked in climbing gyms from ages. I started when I was 13, and then up until I was 30. How old am I now? 34. Up until I was 30, I was doing that full time.
So, I mean, it made a lot of sense as far as what the job was. It wasn't like you were going to go work at FedEx or some shit.
Yeah.
Opening up a climbing gym is still...
Nothing wrong with working at FedEx, though.
No, shout outs to all the FedEx employees out there.
Got a couple friends that
Like
work
and
there.
subscribe. But...
There's 6 skaters, too. Seth.
Oh,
works
okay.
at FedEx.
Shout out to Seth.
Gnarliest skater that we know, probably.
But anyways, I was really sad because Patrick had been, me and him have been working at music for so long, and watching ourselves progress over these years, but a lot of years. And, something that I read in some book a long time ago, where the reason that people are problem gamblers or they stay in bad relationships too long is that humans have the worst loss assessment of any creature. So if you put in a lot of time, money, or anything, it's so hard for people to walk away from that because you just have to take that L. Whereas if you stay in it, there's always that chance. If you're a gambler, there's that chance you're going to win that next hand and it's all going to be worthwhile. But a lot of times the best move is just to walk away and cut your losses. We just, as humans, can never do that. But hearing that you had been offered this job and that this trip, I remember you even saying, you're this is a sign,
Oh, yeah, for sure, because it all happened at the same time. I was talking, my friend of mine who I had worked with when I was younger at another climbing gym was working at these gyms in Utah, and he was like, "Hey, we got this new gym in Ogden. Do you want to come manage it? Just run it?" And I was like, whoa.
If there had ever
That's
been a
pretty
job
intense.
other than dubstep that would have made sense for me, for you, that would have definitely been it.
Yeah, because for a little bit more background, I was always a route setter, so I would put the holds on the wall, hold into the wall. Sorry, I just chirped on your podcast.
Did you just Cardi B that? We're going to have to pay her now. Every trip you do, we owe Cardi B $5.
All right.
I'll send you an invoice afterwards.
Okay. Yeah. But so I'd always done like the manual labor, fun, creative part of it, which I still love to do. I actually went back to the gym and did it the other day, because it's like I miss it. So, but so this was like kind of
the timing.
The timing was good, but it was also like a step down for me mentally, because I was like, all right, well, this is the only way I can like make a living really, and not have to worry about like destroying my body. So I guess I'll just go manage this climbing gym. To me, it was like a desk job.
Well, and it was consistent. Like you had said, like one of the big things is like I can't do tours like this where I don't know if I'm getting paid or not, and be gone from home and then come back with nothing to show for it. Yeah, which was totally understandable. And so, I remember Jansen being like, "Yeah, just, follow your heart or whatever."
Well, yeah, I mean, most people I talked to like made sense.
I mean, like anyone who's, has jobs like that, like our parents, my parents at least, would definitely be like, don't follow your dreams, like follow a steady paycheck with health benefits.
Yeah.
So yeah, no one sane is going to be like, nah, you should really
keep losing money.
Keep losing money on Dubstep. It'll eventually pay off for you. But we were on this road trip, and like I just remember my heart sank because I was like, I looked up to Patrick for so long for all that he had accomplished, and I was like, if he can't make this happen, there's no chance for me. So I took it very personally when you said that you wanted to quit, because not only were you quitting, but that for me was a nail in the coffin that I would never be able to make anything of myself in that sense too. Because obviously you were, progressing so much and doing, like, I looked up to you and your production and everything. Like, I was like, dude, this kid's absolutely crushing it. And then I was like, well, if that doesn't work, then what chance is there for me? And so it was kind of a solemn road home. I believe I was actually driving at the time, and we were in this, like, I forget what kind of car it was, some tiny little car. And we passed this billboard, and it just said, like, lost, call God. And there was an actual phone number on there.
We called God.
And so we called God. So we called the phone number, and it was like this Dakota, like, priest hotline. And he literally just like answered right away, and he was like, "Hi, this is Father."
Yeah, it was like just calling someone's house.
It was like calling someone's weird uncle you've never met before. And we thought it was funny, and it was just a way to pass the time. But we called and we're like, and he was like, "What questions do you have about the universe?" And I was like,
"Yeah, we talked to this dude for a while."
Yeah, we did. But I was like, "Should Dirt Monkey quit dubstep?" And he's like, "Well, the good book would have a lot of things to say about this." And he's like, first off, what's the dubstep? And so then we had to explain, and we like went into depth, and we're like, well, it's this 140 BPM electronic. Like, we like schooled.
You ever listen to UK Garage?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but with half as many snares.
So we schooled this priest on what dubstep was, who Dirt Monkey was, and then we gave him like the full rundown. We're like, he's been at it for years and years and years, and gave him the whole rundown. We're like, should he quit or should he move to Utah? And I don't even remember what his actual like final response was. I think he just dodged it because he realized.
Yeah, he dodged it. He was trying to.
Because he knew it was like a real life decision that he didn't want to like actually weigh in on.
And he kind of knew that we weren't going to convert to whatever religion they were doing.
I think it was just Christianity.
Yeah.
But like every billboard when we were driving through the Dakotas was something about Jesus.
Or strip clubs.
Or strip clubs, which was really strange because there was so much Jesus and so few people. Because I was like, how far of a road trip is it just to even put up these billboards? Like hours. Also, and then I imagined it's probably a lot like this box, but where was this priest? Like, was he just sitting by a phone somewhere, like doing his shift for God, and just like as soon as the phone rings, he picks it up and he's like, jackpot. So that whole thing just really, so the whole trip back basically was, this is the end. Like, Dirt Monkey is done. Mm-hmm. Here comes.
Although I was never like, the whole time, even though I was like, I'm done, I still was like, I'll still make music.
Right.
And in my mind, I was like, if I have a steady job where I'm making money, then it'll be more fun for me to make music because I won't have to I won't have the stress of like, I wonder how I'm going to pay rent next month.
Yeah.
Or
And
the next
I
month.
wonder how many other artists struggle with that predicament of being forced to art as hard as they can
Yeah.
when they're maybe not as inspired or
Because you get into this weird, like, because I had a full-time job for a long time that was paying me well enough to, like, kind of live off of and play shows here and there that would, if I got $100 or $200 to play a show, it would be like, extra money to play with.
then I can
But-
go to Whole Foods and get anything.
Yeah.
I get all the bee pollen.
Yeah. Bee pollen's not too bad.
But I think that a lot of people like would benefit from hearing this. Like, you always think of big artists, never having a doubt in their mind about their success and just always believing in themselves. But I think it's very natural that people do doubt themselves throughout the process.
And not to mention, like, hitting a low.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's I feel like everyone in every career, especially like in creative careers, like you gotta hit that like super down deep gutter low.
And here's something that I want to bring up, and you can feel free to disagree with me afterwards, but I just wanted to let you know how I took that whole situation. Watching the last few, like maybe 6 months before that tour, obviously you'd always been a really great producer, but stylistically you were kind of jumping all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of different people, managers, touring people, other artists were like all trying to give you advice on like what you should be doing. And like I think that was even probably around the same time that you like wrote a trap song with Millennium. Like
Yeah, it was. Yeah, actually.
like I feel like you weren't really not being true to yourself. Like it was still the Dirt Monkey sound, but like you were kind of just like taking everyone's opinions, and like I don't think everyone's opinions were very good. And so it was after that point.
Okay, just to dive into that a little bit more to clear it
Sure.
up a little bit. I do agree with that, but a lot of it was just because I was like, I had such ADD with music, and I would hear something and I'd be like, I gotta make that. That's so
Moomaton.
sick. Yeah.
That's the answer.
Or like twerk music. I was like, oh my god, twerk music is sick. I need to make that. And Jansen was doing the same thing. We were both like, that's probably part of it too, because we were like making music together a lot. And I think we both would get excited about something and we'd be like, we got to make that. Like, we could make that in such a sick way. And I think we did.
Well, I mean,
but I don't
I
think
wasn't at all dogging on it, just more of the ADD of the music.
The fans weren't feeling it.
Well, it was really hard for them to latch onto because you guys were still, not new, but like still trying to grow a fan base. And there wasn't a lot that people could like depend on you for, because if they liked something, the next thing would be completely different.
Yeah.
But I think for me, what I took out of that was that you were getting, a lot of these different influences from different places telling you, like, because I remember even like the EDM.com thing, like people were all trying to give you advice on your career. And then it wasn't until you kind of gave up on all of that and decided in your head that you were going to quit that you went home, and that's when you wrote the Woo Boost remix.
Yeah, well, there's more to that story of like how, the turning point.
Right. But essentially the idea that I'm trying, or like, the sentiment I'm trying to give people is that
Do it because you love it.
when you did, that was probably the biggest momentum change that you ever had in your career.
Yeah.
Was from it's not that it's just one song, but like when you got back to that sound that really got you inspired in the beginning, you could tell that was like if no one cared, that would be the music that you would be making.
Yeah. And I didn't care at the time at all. I was like, I could give a flying fuck about if anyone listens to this music. I'm just making it because I love it.
Right.
And then also the other part of that is I got booked to play a show with Resco. That was why I wrote the Woo Boost remix. Like, that's why it happened, because Lance.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out Lance.
Shout out Lance from Beta.
He
1.0.
He hit me, 1.0. He hit me up and he was like, I was just like, fuck this music thing. Like, I don't really care about playing shows. I just don't care. Like, I'm just going to work my ass off at the climbing gym until I get this other job. And then it's like, whatever. And he hit me up and he's like, hey, do you want to do direct support for Resco at Beta? And I was like, yeah, I do. And then I was like, That's like the perfect show. And then it was kind of like my wife Alyssa had a lot to do with this too, because her and I were talking about it, and she was like, "You should like write a bunch of wobbly stuff, because that's obviously what you've done in the past and really love doing." And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna write a ton of like new original stuff for this show, and I'm just gonna go out with a bang and like have a ton of fun, and then." Whatever. It'll be super fun though. And then I played the show and I wrote all this music, and I remember, and I had like kind of known Rusko for a long time leading up until that because he played my tunes, but he was like dancing during my set, and I was dropping all these new tunes at Beta, which is like the sickest club. To this date, my favorite club ever is Beta 1.0. Rest in peace.
I would say the same for
R.I.P.
myself.
Beta. But I went into it being like, fuck it, I'll just play a bunch of new music and it'll be whatever. And then at the end of it, I was like, I got like my feels. I was like, oh my God, that felt so good. And then Alyssa, my wife, was like, yo, you gotta remix Woo Boost. And I was like, I don't know if I can touch that. Like, that is the perfect song. Nobody should remix that. And she was like, just fucking do it. She has a way of doing that, which has proven to help a lot. So then I did it, sent it to Rusko. He was freaking out. He played the, blah, blah, blah. And then that kind of started the snowball effect of
the
wobbles.
The dirt monkey that you know and love.
Embracing the wobbles again.
Because I remember, too, it was weird for me to have been through, that lowest point with the Fargo thing, but then obviously the highest points are basically just all the time.
Yeah.
But getting to see both of those and then hearing people, one, be like, oh my God, when's the next time Dirt Monkey comes to Denver? And I wanted to like chuckle and be like, you guys don't even know he lives here.
Yeah. Or people being like, he came out of nowhere.
But then that's the other one where people are like, oh my God, have you ever heard of this Dirt Monkey guy? He just came out like a month ago.
Which is sick.
And I'm like, we've been playing music together for 5 or 6 years.
I just go with it. I'm like, yeah, just start doing this.
So like all these people will never know. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to give you guys all this story, is that like there's so much background to that, the lowest lows of the point of, thinking about giving up completely, to the highest points literally right after that, because after that you just started skyrocketing. I remember that was when you got in with like Ganja White Night.
Yeah,
and,
shout out Ganja White Night.
They were big supporters of like all that music too.
They were like an integral part.
And there was a big revival of that sound that you had really been kind of sticking with the whole time, and one of the few people who had really stayed with that. Mm-hmm. And so like when it became time for that to like, become popular again, you were right in the right spot for it.
Yeah. So, it's funny because when I remember going to see my first Ganja White Night show, which I think, was that
in Cervantes' other side?
No, I played at it. It was the Bluebird.
Oh, okay.
And it was because of that Woo Boost remix, I released it on Subcarbon, like on their SoundCloud. And I remember I went into the show being like, I'd listened to their music before, and I was like, yeah, it's cool. I like it. Love it. It's like wonky, nice and groovy. And I was like, it was sold out, and I kept having to add nights. And there were like 3 nights in a row. And I remember going in the Bluebird being like, yo, people like this music now? And I was like, it's fucking on. Like, this is like shooting fish in a barrel. I could make wobbly shit like all day.
Yeah, because it was in your heart.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That was like, because you had come full circle. Like I remember when we first met, I think one of the things that we like vibed on was just Rusko in general. I've been like just banging out this Mishka Keep Watch Rusko mix for like a while.
Yeah.
And then you had...
Well, the way we started hanging out was
the Rusko show.
We each had nights though.
Right, at the B-side.
Yeah, at this club or bar in Boulder. The B-side. Shout out B-side.
B-side Lounge.
Shout out Betsy. See her at the coffee shop all the time.
Oh yeah. But there was that. Remember, we went to go see Major Lazer and Rusko at Cervantes.
Oh yeah. And
so
you
that
stepped
was
on
a bottle.
And I went and got chapstick from a homeless person outside and rubbed the chapstick on his wound.
That's when I knew it was meant to be.
Super clean.
But there was like, we always had that kind of like wobbly background in that sound, and you had just stuck with it the entire time, and it was almost like the world then caught up to your sound.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was basically the reason I wanted to tell the story with you here on the podcast is just to give people that behind the scenes look at, you know, how bad things can get right before they get really good. And just, you know, fuck health insurance, follow your dreams, be a race car driver. This is Guestlisted with Shank Aaron.
2021. Fuck 2020.
Yeah. Thank you so much to my guest, Dirt Monkey, for coming out today to the closet. And if you like this video, please share it with everyone you know. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Like and subscribe.